Okay, folks, it is Summer Friday. So we brought in Scott Redler to teach us about what goes on a Summer Friday. So, Scott, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. It's beautiful outside. It's July 26th. It's been a very interesting few weeks in the market. Next week, I think a lot of people are starting to look towards what could go on, what they're thinking about, how to position. But then also they're thinking about, hey, this is the summer and the action's sometimes tricky. It's a little bit harder. Sometimes you should be doing a little less, especially when you're in a bit of a flux where I feel like we've been caught in a new active bearish sequence in all three sectors, in the spies, in the Qs, and the semis. And the question is, was the low put in earlier this week, or are we just bouncing into earnings in the Fed to then take another turn lower, in the weeks ahead? And I think we're all trying to figure that out. And if anyone told you 100% what they think or what will happen in the next month, you really don't want to follow them because I've been doing this for a long time and I'm getting mixed signals. So it's hard to tell.
Okay, Scott. Okay, so we are going into a very busy week with NFP,
What
the
up, Andrew
Fed.
Joyce? Coach Andrew Joyce. Sorry about that.
Oh, Coach
You
Andrew
see,
is in the house. Welcome,
Coach
Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah, so everybody in the chat, we need you people to say hi. Like, retweet, comment. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Of course, It's is in the house. Yeah, so Scott, so we are heading into a busy week. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, NFP. We have the Fed. Do you think people are thinking ahead too much?
I don't know. I think no, everyone likes to figure out where the opportunities are for earnings, and we've had a lot of really good earnings option plays. Sometimes you get these, 5 timers, 6 timers, 10 timers, and as I look into this earnings season, I really don't see it. If you remember, Netflix kind of came out and it was $50 off the highs, and I was like, I just don't see it being a great setup for calls or puts, and I didn't take it, and it was a noisy report. And then that's what kept me away from Google, because I was like, Google is same percentage off highs, and I'm not thinking bearish, but I don't see a good way to play it. And it just feels like the same thing for a lot of these. You have Microsoft's off the highs, Meta's considerably off the highs, Apple's off the highs. They've had big moves this year, but so I do feel like there's really not a great setup where you can make really good money in an option play. So I feel like, it kind of takes the pressure off, because I'll just trade it after. There's more than enough money to be made trading, earnings or names after, based on the reaction to it. So, we could look ahead to next week, but I don't really see that much to do. All I did this week was play Tesla earnings, and I went the wrong way just because I was like, you know what? It was so good to us last time. I went very small. And, I just don't see something that I really love for next week. So I'm going to keep my pressure down, the pressure off. I feel like a lot of people have been making really good money, this quarter, because we've had a lot of good signals. We saw the top in the semis, and we got out and got short and made good money. Same thing happened with the Qs, and then even the spies played catch up. And then we also caught the small caps going into the CPI. So I feel like at this point, there's no need to have FOMO of what's going to happen next week or even in August, which historically isn't a great time to trade. So at this point, I think keeping stress down and looking for some setups that make sense depending on the day to add some cash flow is where my head is at. And hopefully that's where most traders' heads are at.
Let's ask people in the chat. So, what is your favorite stock right now? Type your favorite ticker in the chat. We're just curious about what you guys are liking right now. But overall, do you think markets are in kind of a healthier position now? Small caps have come up, big cap tech has come down. So it feels like things are a little more balanced. Do you think the overall market is sort of in a healthier state?
Well, they closed the gap a little bit. Somebody posted something on Twitter the other day, like how, where the Qs are at for the year and now where the IWMs are, and it's like closer. There was a big discrepancy between, this Mag 7 and the rest of the market. And now a lot of Mag 7 names came in, the Qs came in, and the small caps went up. So I feel like the market did a good job rebalancing things. So just the question is, where are flows going to go and where are things going to happen? Like someone just asked me real quickly about, Amazon next week. So could we put my chart up real quick? I just want to show you something real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me just what I like to do during earnings season is I like when a stock could take out a major area and continue, and that's usually a good setup. So, if you really real quick look at Netflix, for instance, okay,
Scott,
Netflix.
you
Want me
need
to
to
do
hit
it?
your screen share.
I could do that. Hold on. Red Dog could present and press it. Share screen. Share screen. Boom. So if you look here, let's just go to Netflix real quick. This was the day of earnings. It pulled in from 697 down to here. So in order to have like a really good option play, usually you needed to take out a level and continue. And that's something that people don't like to miss. So I didn't touch Netflix, and you had a loose wide candle. And since then, nothing has happened. So if you played it with puts and calls, you lost money. So if you look at Google, the reason why I didn't trade Google is I'm like, Google also has come off, the highs, and I don't think it's going to get back above 191. There's no all-time high set up there, and I just said and now Google wound up trading to the downside. You have a gap here, and now it looks like it finally put a bottom tail in. So maybe you could be long Google versus 164.07. So anyway, let's put that in here. 164.07. It's a point of reference which we use. So maybe that's something to trade against for next week, as it looks like a bottom tail is being put in. It held this gap. But I'm just talking about earnings plays. So now you look at Amazon. Amazon has had a pretty big move down from the highs. Everybody knows what's been going on with Amazon. This trade, which we all took, a lot of us took. We made a lot of money in Amazon. That was when we remember the 191s, the 192s, and went straight up to about 199. And then it looked awesome here. But then Jeff was on the offer selling his whatever percentage he had, and then it failed. So like someone's like, Red Dog, I do have 202s Amazon, but to be honest, there's no way this is going up 20 points and then taking that out. So if you were going to play Amazon like into earnings, like there's just really no good, if it goes to 192 and they have huge premium there and then they suck premium out, there's just no real setup here. So I don't see a great setup for Amazon into earnings, and I don't see a great setup for Apple into earnings. Apple, I have a feeling the report's not going to be fantastic. I know I have, I think this was the iPhone. That's me and Cadence, by the way. I don't remember which one this was, but it was the iPhone 10. I haven't got a new iPhone in like 4 or 5 years. So obviously I pay for the iTunes. I spend money on it and I do my thing. But like chances are the next major move or the next is going to be Apple AI, which is going to be the new phone. And then if they come out with the foldable phone to me I think is the smartest thing they could do, because you could take a phone like this and open it up. My friends, a few of them have the Samsung phone. Makes so when you watch TV in bed, you could watch it closer. When you do your work in the morning, like I do my work in the morning, you could see bigger, and then you could fold it up better and put it in your pocket. So for now, I personally don't think, even though it's come from 237 down, I just don't see an awesome setup here. Like maybe if I were to take something for next week, I would say, hey, maybe I buy the 222.5 calls for a move up at post earnings. But I have more of a feeling that the earnings aren't going to be fantastic, and it's probably a better buy after than wasting money on calls. So I'm this is probably the least amount of option plays that I'm taking into earnings, if that makes any sense.
Okay, Scott, let's talk a little bit about the small caps. So, like you said, because we've actually been sharing that chart on Twitter almost every day. IWM and the Qs are basically neck and neck for the year now. Do you think that the small cap rally can continue?
I've been tactically approaching it. Like, thank goodness for the small caps. That probably made me the most money since the CPI over tech and over the semis. It was a great place to focus on prior to the CPI, and then it gave us lots of setups. If you look here, this was when it was really tight. I was with Liz Clayman. I'm buying the 201s, traded it really well, pieced out of all of it up to here, made it was like $10 or $12. It was literally like almost a 9 times on your money. and then skipped this day, started making money short. Then you had your red dog reversal sell, came in 3 days. You could have made really good money short, calculated if you waited, and then you had your red dog reversal buy. And now it's like right here. So I came in today with 224 calls for today and 228s for next week. Now if you look at the IWM, the PC wasn't like so light where they're like, oh, the Fed has to do 1 in September and 3 more because that's what's kind of driving the small caps. But it was enough to keep it in here. So it's kind of hanging here. I'm still in 2 option plays. I'd like to see the Fed come out next week and be a little dovish, which is supposed to be. They're supposed to get rid of the word elevated. Elevated has been in their verbiage for a long time now. So if they get rid of inflation is elevated, maybe that's dovish, and then maybe that'll be what the market needs for this to clear this, this bullish type flag and make a move to the upside. But it's above the 8-day. It's been riding it. You still have to be a little careful there. I do think that the small caps are not done. I'm not in the Tom Lee camp where they're going to be up 40% before the end of August. If that's the case, you go to the weekly chart, and he's saying that this is, which it looks pretty good. This is the weekly chart. Takes this out, and then your next level is between 232 and 244. I am watching it every day. I'm playing it a lot more than I played in the first quarter or two. I do have options on. It's just a matter of what's going to be the catalyst to take out this spot and continue it. Remember when, just like for instance, like Apple had that big move. Remember that big move on the product? And then it took literally from June 12th to July 2nd. So it took 2 weeks for it to then take this out and give us that additional move. So I'm kind of thinking the same thing with the IWM. It's putting in this upper bull flag. And at some point next week, hopefully sooner than later, it takes this out, and I could see it at 232 plus. So that's how I'm trying to position with the IWM. Traded here and there in a great setup. You've had some negative to positive news. You've had some good setups. Today wasn't a great setup because it opened up and it's been choppy. But I do think this takes this out. It's been acting very well, and it's still one of my focuses. That and it's good to see like the Qs are also up, the SPYs are up. It's not taking the air out of the entire room like it did during this move. During this move is when the Qs came in, the SPYs came in, and it kind of balanced itself out. Now they're kind of all moving a little bit together.
Okay, guys, we'll throw a question out in the chat for our friends in the audience. So Tom Lee is the man of the hour. I get the feeling the media wants to make him the next Kathy Wood before they throw him in the wood chipper. So let us know in the chat. Is IWM going to 300? Yeah, I mean, listen, Tom Lee's nailed everything, but the second
300.
Wrong. Yeah, he put a $300 target for the end of the summer.
The end of the summer, if that happens, I'll friggin' give him a high five. I'll slap his tush if he even wants that. Whatever he wants, I'll do. But first thing first, it's got to get above 226, and I've been buying 228 and 230 calls, which I doubt 300. But
okay,
you can look at my weekly chart. That's a lot more realistic than 300. But I hate when people say outlandish things. I don't think I'll make anyone a bet right now. What kind of bet that the IWM is not 300 by the end of August? Who wants to make a bet? I'll bet you 500 push-ups. I'll bet you running naked through Milburn. Whatever you want to do, I'll do it. It will not be above 300.
I'll take the bet.
You'll take the bet? So if the
what
IWM isn't above 300, you'll come to Milburn and you'll run around naked? Maybe in your boxer shorts?
No, I'm looking for higher stakes than that. I need something like meaningful.
Yeah? That's pretty freaking crazy. I would,
No, 300. Well, it's listen. Let's give Tom Lee some credit.
I'll give him credit, but look, let's go back real quickly. Let's talk realism. I'm like a realistic guy. There's the IWM. I would say realistically, okay, there is a chance we get into the 232, 244 area in August. And if we were to get above that, maybe we see 250-ish. But in my humble opinion, talking in real life terms, there is not a shot that within the next month, this is going to be up at 300, But I do think there's a chance it can get into here. And maybe into the end of the year, if we do 3 cuts, which I don't think we're going to do, then maybe you could you could have it but to say it's going to take out 244, which is the November 15th high, by the end of August, I think is kind of irresponsible. But and Tom Lee rarely is irresponsible, but that's my thought. Let's go back to the bet. What's the bet? Who wants to make a bet? Steve.
I mean, well, the
Space
thing is,
bet.
well, the thing is, like the odds need the bet needs to be in my favor because
Oh,
it is bold.
highly unlikely. Okay.
Oh
What do you think?
man,
Let's ask everyone who's online. What should the bet be? Who wants in?
yeah, I do think there is genius in Tom Lee because if IWM goes to like 250, he still gets to be right. So he gets the publicity now
Right.
for saying the big number, and then if it still goes up, he still gets to take credit. Yeah, give us some
I just think
ideas.
that's the problem. That's the problem with the whole media. That's why, again, like even with politics, the far left who says the craziest things in the world, they get the headlines. The far right who says the craziest things in the world, they get the headlines. But if you're like a normal person that uses common sense, like most of us, it doesn't, there's no chirping about it. It's about the extremes. So if somebody wants to say something extreme to get attention, I get it. But most people don't want attention. They want to be right. They want to feed their family. They want to have a calculated method in their approach. So I try and do that. So that's why I'm not that popular, because I'm just a red dog routine focused guy that tends to go in the hot the sauna right there, the cold plunge, stay fit, and coach some kids every now and then, and trying to add some value to those around me. But rarely do I say anything crazy. And if I say something normal on Twitter and then I get crazy responses, you're blocked. I block about 10 people a day. But anyway.
Okay,
Where are you, Michael?
okay. How about biotech? I actually forgot it because somebody brought
I
this
think
up in the
people are
chat.
talking about Bitcoin. They want to know Bitcoin.
Yeah, yes, because our orange colored friend who might be president in the fall, he seems to be a very big fan of Bitcoin, very supportive of crypto. So, what are you seeing with Bitcoin?
I've been long IBIT for a while. From the lower end of the range, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I lost a lot of money in BITO calls about a month or two ago. I hate when something's really telegraphed, but if you look here at the chart of Bitcoin, Bitcoin held where it had to. You have this whole big channel, okay, from just say really from 59 to 74. Then you have this cluster here between 71 and 74. And then same way down here, you kind of had an overthrow to the downside. I've been long IBIT on the alpha team since down here, which has been great. And now, it hit 68, saw some resistance, came in. They flushed the little guys out. I'm not going to say I don't want to get attention, but 73, I think that we could be at 85,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year. So that means there's a lot of money between here and there. But I also thought it would happen here and it failed. And I also was long BITO calls here and it didn't work. So maybe, how long does this channel go? They say the bigger the base, the bigger the move. Well, the space is getting pretty big. There hasn't been momentum. When Bitcoin wants momentum or crypto, there's nothing better out there. So at some point, I think it happens. So I'm in IBIT. I just don't want to be too big. Like I was pretty big in here when that happened and I stayed with it. So do with what you're comfortable with and just know that the BITO calls don't correlate to this. And the problem is, again, is that everyone knows he's going to be speaking. So it's going up into it. So it might not be that easy, for it to be up on Monday or next week, whenever that thing is. But either way, the channel looks good. You have a low, higher low, higher low. I'd love to see it take out 68. If it does, your next spot really is closer to 72K. And that's if you just go step by step.
Okay, how about biotech? Because if the small caps wake up, logic sort of dictates. You know
what
I
mean? If they continue, that's the word.
Exactly.
If they sustain the move. Here, the XBI has been awesome. I made a lot of money in here. I was on with Liz Clayman again. She gets all my good stuff. All that good stuff. 93, 95 calls. And we sold it all the way up into there. I unfortunately did not buy it back into here. And it does look pretty good. It looks like it's ready to take this out. I haven't looked at a weekly chart in XBI in a while. If you look at the weekly chart, as you can see, it's noisy as heck. Seems like, why can't this get make this right here? why can't this see a move towards 112 or maybe even where it broke down from here? Look, biotech looks good. Biotech looks better than it's looked in a while. Again, these are all the times I played it. I haven't looked at this in a while, so you'll see. I'll give you a little lesson on how I mark these things up. But ultimately, some will say, "Hey, Red Dog, isn't this a double top?" Way too early to call a double top. And then you could almost bring this down here. What gets above this? This is 103. Your next spot is 111. I would say, realistically, the XBI could get to 120 before the year's over. That would be my call.
Okay, XBI 120. Bold's
Yes.
call. Okay, all right. So let's talk about the Fed. So it seems like everybody's expecting the Fed to cut at the September meeting. Next week's event supposedly going to be not a big deal. But you've been saying you don't think the Fed cuts unless we get a real pullback. So are you still in that camp?
Yeah, I think that the Fed will cut. Some people were saying the Fed was going to cut next week. I'm like, what do you guys out of your mind? The S&P pulled in 5%. The Nasdaq is still up 20%. You're hurting that bad. You want the Fed to cut? And I'm like, Fed used to cut when the market was down 20% off the highs and there was blood in the street. This is just a corrective phase within the year that happened already in April. So I do not think there'll be a cut next week. I think maybe they remove elevated. I think that, if we could head lower in August, like right now, the S&P just pulled in almost 5%. But, I think if we go down towards 5250-ish, sentiment will be that poorly. That's what I said on Wednesday. And then they at least cut in September. And then how the market, trades is depending on if they'll do more. But the Fed raised interest rates and kept it here this long for this purpose, to slow the market down, to slow prices or have prices cool in the housing market, gasoline, this and that, and it's just starting. So why would they switch gears now? I think that wouldn't be smart in my humble opinion.
Okay, so Scott, so what else is on your mind now in the market? What else are you watching?
I watch everything. I just, some like guys were saying they think that I missed the Wednesday buy on the bottom, the blood in the street account. Everyone loves the blood in the street account, Mikey. Everyone wants to say, when's Red Dog's wife going to put the blood in the street account to work? And if let's go real quickly to the spies, and let's just go to the weekly chart. So if we go bigger picture here, not just, I talk tactics every day. You could tune into the 630 Club, get my tactics for cash flow. Hopefully, if you're a member of the Alpha team, you hang out with me all day long. I'm talking, you see my positions. But if you want to look on a macro sense, because some people aren't prop traders, they don't trade for a living. They just want to make money and not get caught in things. So, here, this is the short-term top on July 15th. This is all we've pulled in so far. Remember this pullback where I did buy the blood in the street account into the 21-day? So this was literally from 3 weeks of pulling in before it kind of repaired and made a new high. So all we've pulled back is 2 weeks, and look at the size of this move that we've had, since the October 23rd low. So in my humble opinion, if you were sitting in cash and you're looking to allocate a cash account, I do think in the next 4 to 6 weeks, you could probably get better prices than we saw this week. But if you trade, it's different. Like next week, we can continue a bounce before the earnings and before the Fed, and who knows? But I think that's a bounce that could be sold. But here's the 21-day. Last time we held the 21-day. So I would think, why not see 524 before I have to allocate her money that's sitting in a fixed rider for 4%? If you put money in every month, a 401k, a 529 for your son, a 403b, I do that every month. That's a different account. I have an account I'm not allowed to allocate money to that I want to take pieces out of the market only when there's blood in the street. And right now, this is not blood in the street. Even look back here in 2023 when we topped out that summer. It went on all the way to October, and we hit the 100-day. The 100 days down here. So, in my humble opinion, we're going to trade. That's what we do, make cash flow. I don't think that this week's low is going to be the best price you can get in the S&P cash or the SPYs or the S&P, whatever that is, in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So my question is, can we get to here? And I think there's a very high probability we get to there, which is not crazy considering that's what we did during the 5% correction in May, and sometimes you get even more than that. So I would say just don't be in a rush. Don't enjoy your summer, right? That's what's on my mind. I feel like I haven't enjoyed my summer yet. It's July 26th. Yesterday was the 8-week anniversary of my heart surgery, and I'm just starting to feel good. I'm just starting to sweat. You see some videos of me in the sauna and the ice barrel, and it's, enjoy yourself before the summer's over. That's all I'm saying. And at this point, there are trades every day. Some are easier than others. Today was a tough day. Today the SPYs gapped up. Like if you, right here the SPYs, they gapped up and they haven't done a whole hell of a lot since. And remember yesterday too. Remember this pullback at the end of the day. So we pulled back at the end of the day. In the last 15 minutes, it pulled in 40 handles to open up here and go sideways until 11:35, and then finally went. And now we're right back to where we were. So they're not giving money away on trees. So just be patient. Don't think like you're missing anything, and just wait for compelling areas to make your moves. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay, isn't this even like a silly discussion? If people are bitching and moaning because you didn't nail the exact bottom, I mean, who cares? Like, is it? How stupid are people out there? If like, is anybody going to be catching like every dip perfectly? Like, what is going on?
No, you don't have to catch the bottom or the top. You need to, what I say is get the meat of the move. So if you were short, I think a lot of guys in the alpha team, made some good money. Like real quickly, if you go to, the SMHs, let's go to Red Dog. Everyone thinks Red Dogs are permeable. That's not true. And I feel like we caught the top of the semis really well. So, you could have caught this top here, or you could have waited for the lower high and then had that move. We didn't get caught in that. Okay. After that happened, the Qs did the same thing. Remember, the Qs gave you a bearish engulfing bar right here, bearish engulfing bar, lower highs, and then continued below the moving averages. So I actually get rid of this now. Now it's trying to see will this be a bear flag in the Qs? I don't know. Maybe let's put that in there. But anyway, I feel like we did catch a really nice move lower in the SMH, the SPYs, and the Qs, or at least a lot of people didn't get caught. Now the question is, where do we go from here? Is this going to be a bear flag and continue lower? If that's the case, then we're going to get our 525 in the SPYs and the SME cash. So I think at this point, if the setup isn't conducive to what you want to do or what you think the market's going to do, then just step aside. But for now, nobody really knows. This could be a bear flag and can continue lower, especially if Apple doesn't impress and Amazon isn't spectacular and Microsoft whatever. I'm just saying, what am I saying? You were saying you don't need to catch the top and the bottom. At this point, I feel like we didn't get caught up there, and I think a lot of people made good money short. I know for me, I was at my high water mark 2 days ago, and I'm almost there right now, and I feel pretty good considering, like we said, the tech was almost 10% off highs, the S&P almost 5% off highs, the semis 12% off highs. We caught a really good trade in the IWMs at both ways, so I feel pretty relaxed, and now it's time to enjoy the summer. And although I don't want to miss my print on the Blood in the Street account, in my humble opinion, I think it'll be, it's going to be lower, and it's going to be a little bit closer to this area, which is the prior high. Hopefully, here's 520, 524.60. This would be a great spot if it happens. Last time we came into the 100-day, that's where we printed it. So here we are, just playing with the 50-day for now, and we'll just see where we go.
Okay.
What's Max
All right,
saying?
Scott.
Like Red Dog's babbling too much.
All right. Yeah, I think that is a good note to end on. Remember, folks, don't go crazy out there. Don't expect you to get every top, to get every bottom. You're not going to get everything right. Enjoy the summer. That's Red Dog's message of the day. And if you really want to enjoy the summer, you would download Scott's ebook right now, t3live.com/show. My summer was going to hell. I downloaded this ebook and everything turned around. Everything's been going great since then. And
it turned your whole life around.
This ebook turned my entire life around. So if you go to t3live.com/show, you're gonna wake up tomorrow 10 times happier. I guarantee it 100%. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Have a fun afternoon and go out there and make some money.
Exactly, and enjoy yourself.